Have you ever noticed how one comment spreads? It starts as irritation, then becomes your atmosphere. You answer too fast, then keep replaying it. Now your mood leaks into everything after. The insult happened once, but you relive it repeatedly. That is how 1 second becomes 6 wasted hours. Most people try to calm down too late. A Stoic response cuts it off at the source. It never stays in the moment. That is the part people underestimate. You leave the conversation, but it leaves with you. You pick up your phone. A normal message sounds annoying. Someone asks you something simple. Your answer comes out sharper than it should. Now the insult is not just a memory. It is in your body, in your breathing, in your pace, in the way your face carries tension into the next hour. You try to move on, but your mind keeps circling back. What did they mean by that? Why did they say it like that? What should I have said back? And each replay hits again. That is the trap. They spoke once. Your mind keeps reopening the door. So, the damage grows. Not because the insult was that powerful, because your attention keeps feeding it. Now your focus gets thinner. Your patience gets shorter. Your whole inner climate starts changing around one ugly sentence, and people who had nothing to do with it start meeting the version of you that was built by that one moment. This is where most people lose the day, not when the comment lands, when they let it become the weather inside them. And this is where you lose it, not 5 hours later. Right there. Someone says something rude. Maybe it is a half joke in front of other people. Maybe it is that cold little line said with a calm face. You're always too sensitive. Relax. Why are you making this a big deal? And your body reacts before your mind does. Your chest tightens, your jaw sets, your breathing changes. You can feel that heat rise fast. Now there is only one urge. Hit back. Fix the moment. Say something sharp enough to make the pressure leave your body. So you answer too quickly. Maybe your voice gets louder. Maybe your tone gets thinner. Maybe you say the right words, but from the wrong state. That is the mistake. You think reaction will give you relief, but the reaction does not end the insult. It spreads it, because now the comment is no longer outside you. It is running through your mouth, through your posture, through the speed of your thoughts. And once that happens, as the insult starts owning more than one moment, it owns the next 10 minutes, then the drive home, then the silence after. You replay their face. You rewrite your response. You imagine better comebacks. You keep feeding a moment that should have ended already. This is the first loss. Not that they spoke badly, that they got access to the controls. The Stoic shift starts here. Before the comeback, before the explanation, before the replay. You have to see the first battle clearly. The insult is the spark. Your unguarded reaction is the fuel. And this is why it keeps happening. Not because every insult is huge, because the pattern is. It is not just one rude comment. It is what that comment starts inside you. You carry it into the next room, into the next task, into the next conversation with someone who did nothing to you. Even now your whole day starts moving around a person who only had one moment of access to you. That is a brutal trade. You sit down to work, but your focus is split. Half on the screen, half back in that moment. You read the same sentence twice. You check your phone with that same irritated energy. A normal delay feels personal. A small inconvenience feels bigger than it is. And now the insult is multiplying. Not in reality. In your system. That is the hidden pattern. One comment turns into tension. Tension turns into replay. Replay turns into a mood. Mood starts shaping behavior. Now you sound shorter with people. Less patient. More defensive. Even your silence changes. People can feel when your mind is somewhere else. They may not know what happened, but they can feel the spill. That is the part most people miss. Nice, the original insult may have lasted 5 seconds, but your identification with it keeps extending the damage. This is how a single moment becomes the emotional center of the day. The Stoic sees the repetition early, because once you notice the loop, you stop calling it one bad comment. You call it what it is, an emotional chain reaction that keeps borrowing your attention until you cut it. And this is the part people see, even when they had never heard the insult, because once your state changes, other people start reading it. You walk into the next conversation already carrying tension. Your answers get shorter. Your tone gets harder. You interrupt faster. You stop listening all the way through because part of you is still arguing with someone who is no longer there. That shift is visible. The room feels it. Now, a coworker asks something simple, and you answer as if they challenged you. A friend makes a normal joke, and you go quiet in that heavy way. Someone nearby can tell something is off, not the story, the energy. That is where the damage spread socially. The insult was private. The fallout is public. Now people start reacting to the version of you that showed up after it. Less open, less clear, easier to frustrate, harder to approach. And this is what makes the whole thing worse. The person who insulted you may be gone, but your loss of control keeps introducing them into rooms they never entered. That is a hard truth. One rude sentence can make you look unstable to people who never disrespected you. Not because you are weak, because emotional spill changes how you carry yourself. This is why Stoic discipline is not only about inner peace, it is about social consequences. Because when anger follows you, it starts speaking for you. And once that happens, people are no longer responding to who you are. They are responding to what you are carrying. And this is where the cost gets real. Because now the day asks something from you. A meeting, a phone call, a decision that actually matters. But you are not entering it clean. You are entering it already charged. Someone asks for your input, and you sound more aggressive than you meant to. Someone challenges one detail, and it feels bigger than it is. Now you are not only dealing with the old insult, you are under new pressure with less control than before. That is where people get trapped. They tell themselves, I just need to get through the day. But the day is already reacting to the state you carried into it. That is the escalation. One comment in the morning, tension by noon. By afternoon, your judgment is thinner, your patience is gone, and your face is still holding the fight. People notice that. A boss reads it as instability. A partner reads it as distance. A friend reads it as attitude. They do not see the original wound. They only see the version of you that never put it down. That is a dangerous loss. Because now one disrespectful person is shaping moments that were supposed to belong to you. If this hits home, subscribe. We're building a place for calm people who are tired of being emotionally dragged around by one bad moment. The Stoic shift starts under pressure, not by pretending nothing happened, by refusing to let one comment decide the tone of every room after it. You do not win the day by replaying the insult better. You win it by stopping the spread before it reaches everything else. And this is where the insult changes shape. The room is over. They are gone. But you are still answering them. You sit in the car. You open your phone. You stare at the screen without taking in a word. And now the fight is no longer with them. It is with yourself. Why did I react that fast? Why did I let them pull me in? Why am I still carrying this? That is the second hit. The first one came from them. The second one comes from you. And it lands deeper. Because now you are not just angry. You are embarrassed that the anger got access. So you start building a case against your own stability. One bad reaction turns into a verdict. Maybe I am too easy to throw off. Maybe people can always do this to me. That is the trap. You take one moment of heat and turn it into an identity sentence. Do that enough, and the insult keeps growing without the other person saying another word. So cut it there. Do not build a courtroom in your head. Name what happened once. I got hit. I felt it. I am not feeding it further. Then return to the next task. Not because the moment was small, because your attention is too expensive to keep paying it twice. And this is where it gets more dangerous. Not when they insult you again. Before that. The next day, someone says your name, and your body is already preparing. You walk into the room a little tighter than you should. Your face is alert. Your tone is half defensive before anything even happens. That is what repeated carrying does. It trains you to arrive pre-hit. Now, a normal question sounds loaded. A small joke feels like a test. A short reply feels colder than it is. And people can feel that edge on you. They feel that your center depends too much on the next sentence going well. That changes the whole room. Some people pull back. Some people step lightly around you. Some people push once just to see how fast you flare. That is the deeper loss. Not just that one insult hurt. It taught your nervous system to expect surrender. It taught you to defend early, explain early, brace early. And once you start doing that, you are no longer meeting the moment clean. You are meeting memory. That is where identity damage becomes visible. So the correction has to become physical. Loosen your face. Lower your pace. Wise, do not answer on the first surge. Let the body fire once without giving it your mouth. Then speak. One clean sentence. Nothing extra. Because strength is not proving you never feel pressure. It is refusing to arrive, already owned. And this is where the correction becomes visible. Not in theory. In the next real moment. Someone says something sharp again. Maybe in traffic. Maybe at work. Maybe in that casual tone people use when they want to leave a mark without looking cruel. And the first flash still comes. You feel the body react. A small surge. A quick heat. That old urge to answer immediately and throw the pressure back. But this time, you do not hand the controls over. That is the difference. You pause. Not because you are weak. Because you finally understand what the real fight is. It is not always about defeating the insult. It is about stopping the spread, so you let the line land without letting it enter everything. You do not rehearse a speech. You do not keep reopening the scene. You do not drag that person into the next 3 hours of your life. Maybe you can answer briefly. Maybe you say nothing. Maybe you look at them and let the moment end without feeding it. That is power. Because now the comment stays where it happened. In that one room. In that 1 minute. With that one person. It does not follow you into your work, into your home, into your next conversation. And this is the quiet win most people never learn. You are not proving that nothing affects you. You are proving that not everything gets to stay. That is Stoic control. Not feeling the spark. Refusing to become the fire. One insult was never supposed to own the day. It happened once. But the real damage began when you kept serving it your attention, your mood, your focus, your next hours. That is the reframe. The insult is not what ruined the day. The carrying did, not what they said, what you let it keep becoming. Because anger has a way of asking for more space than the moment deserves, more thought, more replay, more identity, more of your life. And most people never notice that they are not fighting the person anymore. They are fighting the echo. But once you see that, something changes. You stop treating every rude word like it has the right to become your atmosphere. You stop confusing impact with ownership. You stop letting one careless sentence decide how you speak, how you move, how you show up for people who did nothing to you. That is the Stoic advantage. Not a life without insults. A mind that knows where they are allowed to end. Let them end where they happened, not inside you.